What's going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a fantastic day today. Now today, as promised, we're going to be going ahead and discussing the brand new feedback loop that DICE decided to implement into the game. Now, I am talking about Wednesday. This video is going to be going live Thursday, so I am a little bit late, clearly because I make my videos always the day before. But currently, right at this moment, the feedback loop is live and in action, and I'm going to go ahead and put the link to that feedback loop down in the description of this video. But basically, this whole thing that's going on with DICE right now is revolving around the current maps of Battlefield 2042. I'm sure this feedback loop is going to go ahead and branch out to different topics of the whole Battlefield scene, but when it comes to this current moment right now, they are very specifically focusing on the map designs and map layouts of Battlefield 2042 at the moment. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I got to be honest with you guys, I was slightly optimistic for this feedback loop. I mean, regardless of what anybody says, anything revolving feedback is always a very good thing. But at the end of the day, I think me and a lot of the community as well have our expectations set stupidly low. So even though I was a little happy about hearing about this feedback loop, I wasn't expecting anything big to come from it. I mean, let's be honest here. DICE made Battlefield 2042, one of the worst Battlefield games ever made. At this point, I would not be shocked even in the slightest if they made this game worse and worse and worse with every update to come. But I gotta say, after studying these two blog posts here and seeing what their main ideas for, improvements on the map designs are and also how open they are with the community, it is actually looking pretty good. The feedback loop looks pretty darn decent. Now, in just a minute here, I'm going to switch over to a live commentary of me going over the website that's actually the feedback loop, allowing the community to respond to the developers and see the major key points of what they're trying to communicate with us about. But the second blog post is a massive one, and again, I'm probably not going to read the whole thing here, but Westy, he screenshotted probably one of the most crucial things that you should take away from the second blog post, and I'm going to put it up on the screen and read it off as well, because this is the most crucial part to take away from the whole second blog. It says, what do these identified improvement areas mean for the future map designs? We've already briefly shared that you'll visit new locations in future seasons, so today, we'll also outline how these current learnings will impact our design process for future maps. The biggest action point for ourselves is that the bigger maps doesn't necessarily mean more freedom and playstyles or fun. So you can expect future maps to be smaller in scale than most of our release maps. This also means we are reviewing a possible reduction in the number of sectors and total capture points per map when playing at 128 players. We're also thinking about changing the shape of the maps to give them more sense of direction. We feel that going from a common Battlefield standard of a square-shaped play space to a rectangular shape most commonly used in some of our older entries in the franchise can better incentivize pushing forward versus circling out sideways. We feel that this can help to focus areas of combat, enable you to have more focused awareness, and reduce opportunities for enemy fire to come in from all around you. So basically what they're saying right here is that they understand that just because the maps are bigger doesn't mean they're better. That's all I wanted to hear, honestly. And they put it out in a very subtle way, so you can't really say that, but that's basically what this whole thing means. They're finally coming to the conclusion that just because the maps are huge doesn't mean they're actually good, and it works for 128 players. They're finally coming to the, realization that in order to make 128 players actually feel more hectic and feel like a Battlefield game, they need to shrink some of these maps, they need to change the layout of some of these maps, and they have to make the capture points make sense for the overall battle and have a good flow with cover. And the best part is DICE was kind enough to go ahead and give us some examples of what they mean when they say they're going to mess around with some of these map designs. Now, to start off, this is going to be Conquest Large, and this is their example of their new prototype that they're making to basically revamp the whole experience of Kaleidoscope, and they're also going to be doing this for pretty much every map in the game. So, Kaleidoscope, to start off with on Conquest Large, you would have A1, A2, the bottom of the building and the top of the building, C1 out here, B1 and B2 placed at the bottom left of the screen. Obviously, D1 is the centerpiece of the whole area, then obviously E1, E2 over here, and then F1, G1, and F2 all clumped together in this little, building section, which, in my personal opinion, the city out here and the city up here should have been the majority of Kaleidoscope, not just this tiny little block of areas. But again, I understand where they're coming from. But basically, instead of having this layout, they're going to go ahead and put one singular flag, not inside the building, but outside of the building on A1. They're going to have B1 and B2 separated a little bit, so they're not just, so super duper 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 close right here. They're going to go ahead and separate them out a bit. They're going to have C1 and C2 down here instead of having just a C1. Again, I never really understood all the C1, C2s, A1, A2 crap. I don't really care for that. But again, they have C sector down here instead of up top. D in the middle still. They only have E1. That's basically it. Just E1 over here, and then F1 and F2 down in this sector. Honestly, it's much better of a layout. Again, I understand the style that they're trying to take here. They said instead of having a more of a square format, they want a rectangular format. So instead of it, being more flanky up here as a square, it's just straight up, a long haul. So if you go to B, you can go right over to C, and then you go right over to F, or you can go right over to D. It's basically supposed to condense the fighting to make it a tad bit easier for you to find enemies and to not get shot. Because if you're thinking of the base version of this map, to go to B to A, you're getting sprayed down because you still have people that can be on C. You can have people from the E sector that can see cross over here. From here, it's a lot easier in the prototype version to move across the field. I gotta say, this is actually a pretty decent layout here, and I enjoy the direction they're trying to take. My only concern is the C sectors. I feel like C is a little off here. I remember this part of the map. There's nothing over here. This is just a big open field. So honestly, I feel like C, there should still be something around here in this area, or just C1. Just C1. No C1, C2 crap. Just have one sector for C. So you have E over here. You have C by C2, this little section over here where it's more cover, and that's it. No C1, and I think this would probably be a fantastic layout for Conquest. It'll be a little bit easier to be able to, find enemies and stuff like that. And, of course, they didn't just give us Conquest. If we go left here, they have a breakthrough layout as well. Now, as you see here, breakout layout number 1, the original, you have A1, A2 over here that you have to push. Then from here, you go over to B1, which you push out as well, and then you go over to the C sector over by the buildings. Now, on their prototype version of this map, they're going to go ahead, instead of starting you out up here, they're going to start you at the bottom, and like I said, remember what they said earlier, they're ditching the square version of this map. Instead of having a big-ass square, they're ditching that, and they're going for a rectangular version, so it's just straight-on combat. You got to think, a lot of games like Hell Let Loose, for example, have the same exact format, even though Hell Let Loose is based more on, real-life, actual warfare, and, real-life maps and terrains. At the same time, rectangular just adds for more action. It condenses everything in one little strip instead of condensing it out here where people are flanking and they have to go all up here. Allow the player to flank if they want to flank, but all the action should be condensed in one straight strip to make it more easy to find people, especially on these big ass maps that they have currently. But I gotta say, the way they have it laid out here is phenomenal. C sector, it's whatever compared to the original version to the end version. I guess it's nicer to have them both up front instead of having it in the back. I don't know. Maybe it'll make it better. My main concern is the A sector. This is what really killed the breakthrough experience for me personally, because when you would take one, the other A sector was way too far to take the other at the same time, and you need to take both A sectors in order to progress over to B. So with this being said, it's much easier. If we take A1, we're more than likely going to be able to take A2 pretty easily without having to worry about losing A1 again. That's the problem you run into the first version. You go and you take A1, and then by the time your whole team moves over to A2, their team is pushed up and got A1 back, and then you have to go back to A1, take that, and the other team takes A2. You get what I'm saying here? It gets a little too tedious and annoying. So with these current map designs that they're showcasing off here, I like it. And of course, as promised, the feedback loop in Battlefield 2042. Again, I'm going to leave the link to this feedback loop in the description of this video. You can go ahead, check it out for yourself, see what it's all about, and leave your feedback in the comment section. But basically, this whole page is designated to fixing the map design when it comes to Battlefield 2042. Basically, they have some set questions here. Basically, all of these bulletins right here, you can go ahead and read them for yourself if you feel like it. Basically, these are main question points they have for the overall community. And again, you are not subjective to only talking about these main topic points. You could talk about whatever you want with map design, but these are big points that they're, mainly focusing on right now when it comes to the overall game. And then, like I said down below, all of the comments down here are basically everybody's opinions on what they think is better, and it's a lot of good ones as well. And of course, you can go ahead and upvote whatever you think is a good idea, and basically the best ideas are going to be shot straight to the top for the developers to see the easiest. Like this one, maybe reintroduce buildable cover for Battlefield 5. Again, I kind of agree with this one. I know a lot of people hate a buildable cover, but with all honesty, in a game or a map in these games that have no cover to begin with, it'll be nice for us to be able to at least build our own foundations. It'll be pretty useful, I think. And how about you give both sides a bunch of quad bikes completely? I've been saying this for so long, man. Give everybody dirt bikes or quad bikes. We just need something to simply help us transport ourselves from point A to point B without having a freaking assault vehicle. You know what I'm saying? It'll be so much better. But again, this whole feed is filled with good, legitimate feedback. Again, this is not a toxic place. So please do not go here saying, oh, the game is trash, it's garbage, it's over. Again, this isn't the whole purpose of this area here. This area is made for feedback purposes, and it's a lot of good feedback right now. But with all honesty, I gotta say, this is pretty darn good. I got to give DICE props. They went ahead and they're being very open with us. This is probably as open as I've seen any development team ever be with any of their communities. When have you ever seen Call of Duty developers sit down and list a bunch of feedback points that they want us to talk about, and then allowing us to openly say what we want in the comment section as well? This is very rare. So hopefully this goes in the right direction. I don't know if it is. I don't know if it's not. it could go any way. DICE could choose to just ignore all of this and, stick to their own vision. But I truly don't think they would be going through all of this extra work and all of this extra feedback if they weren't going to listen to it in the first place. But ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for checking out this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like, a bonus, I hate it, leave a dislike. Also, if you're brand new, enjoy the content, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button. Also, want to chat with us, two ways to do so, I have Twitter and Discord, both linked in the down description. And also want to catch me live streams of video games or over on Twitch, link that's in the description as well. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in. See you all next one. Peace out.